War Eagle Auburn family, and welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, and we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. This is another post-game show after an Auburn football game. Your Auburn Tigers do fall again in Vaught Hemingway Stadium this time to the Ole Miss Rebels. Bit of a shock, not the shock that the loss happened, but a shock of how Auburn was actually in this game and showed some improvement in this game and showed a lot of fight and grit. And I know the focus will be on the negatives. The focus will be shifted to now, will the decision be made? But we will discuss at least some of the good things that happened and some of the frustrating things that happened. This is a reaction show where we just focus on topics, points of view that are at the top of your mind, hopefully mainly focused on the game and not what's ahead, because who knows, we are live right now doing this and it may break very soon that a decision may be made about Coach Harsin's future. I hope not, because that just sends me into a scramble. So if they could hold off, I know that the athletic department doesn't make decisions based off of my preferences, but if they could hold off for just 30 minutes or so, that would be a great thing for me. So anyway, as we get into the stream tonight, please do make sure that you use this as your check-in period. Post where you're watching from right now, city, state, international, with a War Eagle. Even in a loss, we still say War Eagle. And make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you hit the retweet button, the share button on Facebook. Let people know that you are hanging out with us on this show so they can be a part of the stream, even though it sucks right now to have to deal with all this and talk about these things. The interesting thing about all this is I know a lot of people are also going to be focused on the Alabama-Tennessee game, which when I left it was in really good shape for Tennessee. So I know that will be one of the things that distracts people a lot from our stream tonight as well. But I appreciate you all being here and wanting to be part of the show. So drop your comments and questions. And I will say this too, not that we can't talk about the elephant in the room, and I'm not talking about a potential Alabama loss, but we can talk a little bit about the future of the team and the coach and stuff like that. But if you're wanting to get on the show in terms of your comments and your questions and featured on here, let's probably want to give something a little bit more novel than Fire Harsin. That's not going to get you on the show and featured on that tonight as much. All right. So with that being said, let's say hello to a few people who are already here and have checked in already. We got Joe, Devin, Unbeaten Lake checking in. We got Tyler. Good to see you as well. Triple J, Rob on Facebook, and Warner Robbins. High Life, Scott. Thank you guys so much. A lot of our regulars checking in here. We appreciate you guys using that as your time to let us know where you're watching from. Let's start. And this is not simply to be a Pollyanna, to be a sunshine pupper, but it is simply to say that the focus is on the negative. We lost the game, right? So we really need to probably give some discussion points about the good things that happened in this game. Perseverance, no quit, and allowing this team to learn and grow in a very hostile environment with everything that was going on against a very good team. Showed a lot of fight and grit. And I posted this on my personal Twitter account. I think it was right when we kind of started making our little bit of a comeback. And I said, I don't care how this thing ends right now. The way this thing started, everything that's going around this team right now, they had every right. And I think a lot of us probably would have understood if they just quit. And they did not. So my hat is off to the entire team. There were some performances that were great, some performances that were not. But I hats off to you guys for exemplifying the Auburn spirit and not quitting and making sure that you give your all to a chance to win this football game. Also good things. Robbie Ashford, great response from him after a very tough start, handling adversity and coming there and leading us, making plays with his feet, with his arm. Tank Bigsby, boy, have we all been waiting for that for him. Like, I just so happy about that. At times, there were some great defensive plays tonight. At times, there were not, especially when it comes to run defense. But there were some good things to be had as there. Oscar Chapman still keeping us in the game when things were getting out of hand. Lots of things to point out and be happy about. And whether you agree with it or not, because I think right now you've already made up your mind whether you're willing to give Harsin the benefit of the doubt or time or whatever. or you're just ready to be done with him. There were a lot of good coaching decisions, and a lot of people are being petty about some very things and saying, why would you do that? There's a lot of context. We are all about context here on this show, so we'll try to discuss things within the context and not just react to them emotionally, even though this is a reaction show. All right. So looks like we're going to have a very spirited chat tonight. So if I keep missing your comments, please do bring them up several times, and we'll try to get to them if they are appropriate. Let's see. Jeremiah Wright had some nasty to him out there on the offensive line. Yeah, it was his first start tonight on offensive line, maybe completely this year, because he's one of those guys that's bounced back and forth. You know, we've talked a lot about this offensive line. What is missing? What's the thing that's going to get them to the next level? Was it putting Jeremiah Wright in there? I don't know. We almost lost Brandon Council there on an injury, our third center this year, but we really, we found something that worked. Was it mainly the opponent? Probably not, but there is some of that as well. There was something figured out tonight. And look, I don't have the stats in front of me right now. I might pull some of them up in a little bit. This is more just about reactions on our grade show. We will definitely be discussing that a little bit more in detail. So that's just kind of my thought process right now. Robert says that Robbie is a turnover machine. Is he turnover prone? Yes. I think that's a little aggressive. And I don't think that you would even say that to his face. But I do agree with you that he has been turnover prone. I'm very frustrated with him about that. I got very frustrated with him in the game. But I also commend him for bringing us back into the game, for making adjustments, for making better decisions down the line. We're not in this game without Robbie Ashford. So, yes, did he make some turnovers tonight? But boy, did he make some plays tonight. Michael, this is interesting because a lot of people are dogging Owen online. And so I don't know if you mean that for real or if you're being sarcastic like everybody else is at online. So I honestly didn't get a good picture of Owen in this game. I saw Wesley Steiner flying around a lot, making plays, knocking heads off. All I know is that we gave up a lot of rushing yards. So whether it's an individual, as a team, that does not look good. Leighton, the pass interference, that was not pass interference. Does anybody want to make a case that that was pass interference? Seriously, I'm trying to be objective here. Does any Auburn fan out there, and I'm not asking you Ole Miss fans because of course you're going to say it wasn't, or that it was a pass interference. Can any Auburn fan legitimately say, I believe that was pass interference? If you do, I got to know where you're getting that information from. I'm not saying I think you're wrong, but I'm just curious how you get to the point to believe that is pass interference. Corey says, let me say something. Look how long it took Harbaugh to get Michigan back. Give Harsin time. Well, Corey, I am all for that because, we've talked about this a lot on here about giving coaches 4 years. I just don't think that we're going to get that, unfortunately. I would be very willing to do that because I understand the context, the buzzword of this show, around what he has been dealing with. Michael says a young quarterback growing, and really that's what it is. When you put a guy out there with the lack of experience like that, these are the things that happens. Mental mistakes like not controlling securing the ball on a run, not panicking when you lose the ball the first time and try to get it back under control, not stepping out of bounds. But what I like about Robbie is, yes, he cares, he shows his emotions, but he responds. He makes up for those mistakes that he made. And so I really appreciate that about him, and it really endeared me toward him in this game, as frustrated and angry with him as I got at times in this game. And I think that's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be critical as long as you're constructively critical, but you got to give these players what they're due. And this is a young quarterback that is growing and learning, and he can be a playmaker. Jay says, I think we can easily win 3 more games. We absolutely could easily win. If we play like we did today, we will be bowl eligible. Now, will that happen? That is up in the air, my friends. And we right now, I hate that it has come to this point. but we really can't even focus on being bowl eligible at this point. We have got to focus on getting better each game. And did we get better in the sense that we won the game? No, but I saw a lot of things in this game to be pleased with. We had a running game. How shocking is that? Yes, there were times Tank was shoved at the line and stopped, but there were a lot of times they gave him some room to work with, and you see the type of talent that Tank has and what he can do with it. So yes, we can win 3 more games. Still a long way from bowl eligibility, though. I did question the 4th and 2 timeout for a minute, but I'm almost sure if Ole Miss went for it, they would have made it. So timeout was good. Yeah. So you're going to see a lot of this is everybody's, it's a terrible call to call that timeout. He made Coach Kiffin, who was going to run the play and probably get the first down, make the field goal, go for the field goal and go down 10 as opposed to 14. Look, in hindsight, obviously, we can say things a little bit easier, but with the context of that was the right call to make. You can be mad about it all you want. Don't want to give Harsin credit. That was a good coaching decision. There were a lot of good coaching decisions. The decision to sit Robbie for that one series and bring TJ in completely changed the trajectory of where Robbie was going. And that's what good coaches do. It's what he did with Bo and TJ last year. Bo wasn't getting it done in Georgia State and put TJ in there. We won the game. And because he did that, we got Robbie into a state of mind where he could lead us into 4-point deficit. That's it. We were almost back in front. So it was a good coaching decision, no matter how angry you are with him. Let's see here. He had a ton of tackles and made many stops. Yeah, I thought so as well. But I try to, unless the performance is absolutely, obviously just outstanding, Tank, especially, or horrendous as it's been in the past with some of the offensive line play today. Obviously, by the results, something was better. I try to kind of ride the middle there. So I'm going to hold the jury out on Owen and even Wesley, even though I saw him and kind of noticed him more in this game. I know our linebacker play has been something that a lot of people have been a little bit suspect out. So I'm going to reserve judgment, even though my judgment doesn't matter. Until then. That call changed the game. I believe you're talking about the pass interference. Is that which one are you talking about there? The pass interference or the onside kick? Listen, this is a situation where if he doesn't make it, we're all saying what an idiot Lane Kiffin is. It's the same thing as a punt decision to fake punt in the Georgia game. If you make it, it's a genius coaching move. If not, you're an idiot. So I try real hard to not make definitive statements like that because we're not in this situation. Yeah, I know some of y'all are going to make fun of this. We're not in the meetings. Yes, we can make fun of that all we want, but it's the truth. We don't know what they've been looking at, what they've been watching, all that stuff. We're just watching our little 60-minute window each and every week. All right, I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit. Sorry, guys, just so we don't get too far ahead. Yeah. Dusty, how are they doing? Still doing good? Rocky Top still doing good? I'm not watching right now, obviously, because I'm busy. That's it. One good thing that could happen today is Rocky Top just embarrasses them. Triple J, Ole Miss is top 4 in the rush defense in the SEC. So, Triple J, I'm going to take you at your word. I'm not saying that's not true. I haven't seen that for myself. So, I'm going to have to take him at his word here. If that's true, and this offensive line and running backs did what they did in this game, and the coaching staff made the decision, what happened? Like, what's the thing that worked? Was it Jeremiah Wright coming in and playing more, starting in this game? Was it just the light finally switched on? Only time will tell, but something worked. Leighton says it was a perfect onside kick, to be fair, but no one around the ball. Well, and it's a lot like the announcers showed. I don't like to give them credit too much because sometimes they can be annoying, but the announcers talked about it. This was obviously something they watched in our kickoff returns where our up back, yes, that's I think that's what you would call it there, was dropping back a little bit further and left this little gap. So Camden Brown was just there kind of holding his arms up like, what am I supposed to do? I mean, I didn't know this was going to come. So that's coaching, obviously, but it's something that they picked up on and took advantage of, and the kicker made a great kick. If he doesn't make a great kick, it's a different situation there. Let's see here. I do love the positivity of everybody having fun with the Bama Tennessee game, but we are going to discuss more of the stuff here. You like the crew? Yeah, I'm not saying that this crew wasn't bad, but I just, as a general point of reference, they usually annoy me, so I don't really like to give them credit too much, but I have to give credit where credit is due. And that was a good analysis by them on the onside kick. I do not want to see Robbie and Tank fighting on the sidelines anymore. Well, High Fly, let me put it to you this way. So a lot of people see that and they react one of two ways. They react, oh, that's terrible, which is what most people are saying. I hate to see that. Or they're saying, what a jerk that person is, was what they did with Bo and stuff like that. Sometimes this stuff is, and this is exactly what people are trying to say who are a little bit more level-headed about these type of discussions. Sometimes these things have to happen on the sideline. There's emotions are running high. Everybody's got to kind of get that little bit of pressure let off. And look what happened once they did. Robbie was I don't know the context of what the discussion was or wasn't about. Obviously, it was heated. It's clearly a moment where there was a sense of urgency. Everybody's wanting to take advantage of what they're all feeling, and emotions are high. And what matters is their teammates at the end of the game, and they obviously worked out well together. He still threw him the ball, still handed the ball off to him. Tank still had a great game. Robbie played much better. So sometimes those things are necessary. Is it what we want to see? No. But there are growing pains that have to happen. There are moments of things not clicking. I know it feels like we've had our fair share of that, but that is what happens in situations in transition periods like this, which is why I'm not necessarily in favor of us having to do this all over again, because this is what you will get again. Let's see here. Y'all are distracting me with all this Tennessee Bama talk. Yeah, I agree, Dusty. Sports are stressful. They squash it. No biggie. And so, and I that goes double for the situation that everybody gave Bo a ton of crap about last year. That's a quarterback trying to make sure team understands who is the leader here. Robbie's trying to do that. He's a young guy with a veteran like Tank. Let him figure it out. Don't fret about it. And worry more about what happens after that moment. If you remember, after that moment with Bo, they got it figured out because people think back to him and Seth. I think that was 2 years ago, actually. And they got it figured out and scored a touchdown. After this, Robbie kept doing great. Tank kept doing great. All right. I know y'all are focused on this game, but we're going to try to keep pushing ahead with our analysis of this game. What else stuck out to you? What are some good, some bad things that you'd like to discuss, things that you didn't understand, things that you were really excited about that frustrated you? Anything, those big things that really stuck out to you from this game. Scroll back here a little bit. Michael says O-line play was the difference. Will Friend, great adjustment again for Will Friend. Listen, I've been a very big proponent of not giving Will Friend a lot of flack because of what he's trying to turn around right now. But I also I'm not ready to give him the seal of approval after one game. This is one game with what looks to be like some progress in the right direction. You can't really deny that. I think I've got a couple of stats coming through on my email right now. So we could maybe talk about it a little bit here. Let's see. Tank passed. We talked about this on our Twitter account. Tank passed Michael Dyer earlier in the game, but now passed Stacey Danley on the all-time rushing list. He is now 12th overall. Next up is Kerryon Johnson. He rushed for touchdowns. Well, obviously that. Bigsby records his second 100-yard rushing game of the season, 11th of his career. 179 yards is the second best single game total of his career. So obviously this is just a huge thing. If you remember back to our preview show with Jason, who was our Ole Miss fan, was on, we talked a lot with him about what does Auburn have to do to win this game? And I said that if Tank Bigsby breaks 100 yards, we win the game. And I stand by that, because if, some other crazy things didn't happen, a onside kick, we don't go down 21-0, we win this game. If we started the game the way we ended it outside of that last stoppage of play, it's similar to the Mercer game. You don't really know what team is going to do what after that point. Then maybe this is a different story. Great punting. Yeah. Are you talking about the Bama game? It's hard to know at this point. Let's see here. Terrence says best game played all year. In terms of, yes, when you factor in the level of competition, because you look back at the Mercer game, which was obviously the most satisfying game to date. Missouri was a nail biter. San Jose State was not a nail biter, but it wasn't comfortable. You really look at this game and you go, wow, Auburn put a complete game together. Well, I shouldn't say that's not a right way to say that. Put a game together that was worthy of having a lot of excitement about it. And it made us believe that this team was capable of more. So here's the conundrum for Auburn fans, right? We had all, as the biggest sunshine pumper in the world, which people accuse me of being of all the time, we had all convinced ourselves probably that this might be it for Coach Harsin, that we probably weren't going to win this game. And then you see that the team is capable of this. A lot of us were aware of this, and that's where the frustration comes from. We knew that this team was capable of doing the things that they needed to do to be competitive against some of the best, not maybe the best, but some of the best of the SEC. And I would put Ole Miss up there right now based on the results at hand thus far. Now, as Jason pointed out in the preview show, it will be a little bit more of a test for them as they go on to play Bama. Who else have they got? Texas A&M. I think they've still got to play. So, yes, there's still a lot of football left for them to be played, but they look good right now. Michael says if you take away the PI and the onside, we win. I think we are coming down to a final field goal game, last-minute drive game. I won't say that we win. You can't give up 21 unanswered and expect to be in a good position in this game. So really, it comes down to this. Don't give up 21 unanswered points to start off the game, and you win this game the way we started playing. Will we ever see Finley back as starting quarterback for games? I doubt against Penn State he was injured that badly. Well, we won't know, right? It's easy to say that sitting back here around the water cooler, but we don't know what's going on behind there. We can only go from our little 20,000-foot view in our screens or in the stands. To me, this is Robbie Ashford's team to lose at this point. He didn't lose it in this game. He got sat down for a minute to get his head straight. Great coaching decision by Harsin. Something tells me that whether I want it or not, or anybody wants it or not, or whatever you do, I think TJ's time at Auburn being the starting quarterback has passed. I think Robbie's shown a lot of youth in good and bad ways, but also has shown that he's capable of making this offense go. I give him a lot of credit for that. I love that we actually stuck with what's working. That has been an issue in multiple games. Tank carried us for as long as he could. Right. And so it's interesting dynamic. We've talked about this all season. The defense showed up, and we didn't give them any support. In fact, we said that, I think, early on in our tweets during the game. The defense showed up for the first part. Will the offense answer? They did. And you got to wonder, is there some psychology at play there? It's like, oh, wow, we got some support. Can we, not that you weren't trying, but it almost is kind of like this release of pressure off the defense. And maybe that kind of played into it a little bit. We covered the spread, the small victories in life. Again, I think it's an understatement, but our punter, Oscar Chapman, is great. Brian's got 2 positives. Bring them up, and I'll try to catch them as they come through. We got a lot of comments coming through. Austin Davis, non-hire was the issue for this year, and growing pains happened after. So you're saying that we did hire him. He just left. we actually didn't want him. We wanted Zach Hill, and he would be here right now if it wasn't for some NCAA stuff. And because of us not even want to get further tangled with the NCAA, that's really what the difference, well, not the difference, but inconsistency, the, how do I put this? The lack of identity probably over this offense, because it had basically unofficially 3 different offensive coordinators in the offseason: Zach Hill, Austin Davis, and now Eric Keesaw. Don't say it's up at the top. Yeah, listen, people got some, if that hurts their egos, they got other problems. I can't deal with them. Scared me a little when Council went down. Absolutely. I mean, I would say, yes, it scared me, but in the other instance, it didn't scare me because it's from the moment we lost Nick Brahms, it's just kind of like one of those things. It's like, oh no, we're going to have the injury bug. So you kind of get numb to it. I hate to say that, but yeah. Dusty, I agree. It is frustrating to watch that dynamic switch. Offensive line puts it together. The defense kind of defensive, not just line, front 7 kind of let us down towards the end of the game there. You got to have some understanding for what all of the different parties involved find. That's the big thing here with this football team. You see flashes of brilliance from the defense. You see today, of all things, flashes of brilliance from the offense. They are able to go into a shootout with Ole Miss. We said it on the preview show. If this is a shootout, Auburn has no chance. Auburn had a chance, and it was a shootout. So with that in mind, it's frustrating when we see both sides, even the special teams, have it together in a lot of different ways this year. What if it all came together? You see the potential that's there for Auburn. Can it all come together? Maybe this was the start of it, but there are other issues that we may have to address before that can even get going. I had 2 positive comments. However, we are now 3-9 in our last 12 games, but today, so that gives you the the clearance to get that one in there. By the way, Brian, I need you to call. Obviously, I don't have phone lines open today, and I apologize to our Booster Club members. I meant to give you guys the call-in link. Won't do that at this point, but I do apologize to you guys just because the stress of the game. I forgot to send that out to you all. But Brian, I would love for you to call back because I gotta apologize to you on something. So call in this week on Wednesday, and we'll catch up about that. Let's see here. Okay, I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit. My positives were the decision to sit Robbie for a series, and overall Harsin made some good adjustments. Yeah, I mean, so that was been one of the big harping points this year is the lack of adjustments, right? And there were some things here. Terrence, yes, very frustrated with the poor tackling. I'm not trying to make excuses for Auburn, but this is a college football wide problem. You can see the shift that's been happening. You hear about it all the time, the lack of full contact, especially for all parties of the football team, that's happening in practices, and you can see the results on the field. It happened a lot for Auburn. It's very frustrating. We make some tackles. This is a much different game too. So it's on one hand frustrating to look at this game and go, we have so many moments of missed opportunities, but we were actually in the game for those opportunities to make a difference. So you kind of almost, it's not trying to take a moral victory, but in this type of season, you really do have to kind of look at it as somewhat of a positive. Somewhat. Last time Ole Miss beat Auburn was 6 years ago today, and now we are 13-4, I believe, in the series at Oxford. Please correct me if I'm wrong. With regards to the Arkansas game in 2 weeks, I don't see there being a lot of fans if Harsin is still a coach or an interim. Because an interim could provide a spark for the fans. No, Leighton, I'm just going to disagree with you there, buddy. An interim is not going to provide some spark to bring fans will show up whether they want to or not. Really, at this point, you need to decide whether you're going to be a true fan or a fair weather fan. If you got tickets, you don't want them, give them up. I will take them in a heartbeat because it costs a lot of money to go to Auburn football games. Most of you know that. And if you don't want to use them, if you want to be that type of fan, I'm being a little aggressive with that. I acknowledge that. Give them up. I'll take them. Let's see. We actually won in Oxford in 2016. They beat us at home in 2015. Okay, well, I'll go off of what you guys are saying there. I'll take two or more. Yeah, listen, you got plenty of people that want that type of stuff. I think Auburn fans will show up because it's arguably the most winnable game on the schedule. Well, you're forgetting about Western Kentucky. And maybe you are thinking about Western Kentucky. A lot of people are putting the fact that they had a somewhat decent start in their offense. Sure. But yeah. Looks like I'll be at the Arkansas. Well, we got to make this happen, sir. All right, back to the game a little bit at hand here. What are some other things that stuck out to you? Things that we haven't discussed for our post-game reaction show? If there's any other points that you'd like to hit upon right now, we'll start wrapping up here because I know a lot of you want to focus mainly on the Alabama game, the Tennessee game. Hopefully, those of you that are watching this in posterity, off in the future, we're talking about a Tennessee win, and not just a Tennessee win, but a thumping. It would be really, really nice if that does actually happen. I'm trying to see if there's any other stats that are coming through for us from the athletic department that would be interesting to talk about. Oh, Keontae Scott got his first interception. Zion Puckett got his first career sack. Great play by him on that. So there are a lot of firsts here, right? A lot of really good moments in this game to be excited about. Coy Moore's 46-yard reception was the longest of the season. Luke Deal had a career-long 32-yard reception, which was a great pass from Robbie in that moment. It's kind of the thing that a lot of people wanted to see, tight ends over the middle, taking advantage of that. Career-long rush today of 50 yards, absolutely was a great shiny moment. Isn't it interesting to think about, as much as we love Tank and have talked and like know how amazing it is, that he's never had one longer than 50 yards before? It's interesting to me. He's had some, but he's been called back this season. But he finally broke one loose, and it was, I couldn't believe what I was watching. I was almost, I wasn't, but just a hyperbole wise, I was on the verge of tears. It was, yeah, a beautiful sight to see. Were you surprised that Tank didn't touch the ball after the weather delay? No, because of the situation we found ourselves in terms of time and stuff like that. We had to pass the ball. I think we ran it once with Jarquez. Is that what it was? Or I can't remember exactly. I kind of blanked that part out. We had the Alabama game up here on the main screen, and on my phone, the rest of the Auburn game. So you're like looking up, looking down, looking up, looking down. A lot of craziness going on. Saw a lot of good from the O-line and a lot of bad, most notably when one of the O-line ran into Ashford when he was about to score. Yes, very frustrating. Those are the type of things that should not be happening. Those are the type of things that aren't necessarily mistakes that are made because you were out-schemed, outplayed by the other team. You did it to yourself. Very, 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 very frustration. A lot of missed calls. Yeah. Here's the thing. The pass interference made a huge difference in the game, but I want it to be said. I should have said it. I made the mistake of not saying it the first time we talked about this. Those things do not affect you if you handle your own business. However, you cannot ignore their effect on the game, and that was a huge impact on the game. That's a fourth down, right? They don't score at that. Who knows how that changes the trajectory of everything. What's the schedule looking like during the bye week, Kyle? Bye week, so it's pretty typical. grades with Ben. Well, tomorrow night, don't miss it, 9:00, recording of the Auburn Experience. We'll talk a little bit about this, I'm sure, but we have some other interesting topics to talk about as well within the Auburn Experience. Monday night, 8 p.m., grades for this game with Ben King. Wednesday night, live call-in show. And then we won't obviously have a preview show. We'll probably take that night off. However, I will stress to all of you, stay tuned this week. Subscribe if you have not subscribed. Listen, we have got about a 60% of our viewers that aren't subscribed. What are you doing? Maybe it's because you don't like me. You just want to check in every once in a while. That's fine. But if you haven't, just click that subscribe button. If you're on Facebook, we love you being over there. Twitter, come over to YouTube over here. We are closing in on 3,000 subscribers. We need you over there too. Those are some things to keep in mind, because if news breaks as it might, you don't want to miss it, because I can't guarantee that it'll also be on Facebook and Twitter. Usually ahead of time, we can get that done. Coy Moore had a long catch and run, but he got caught at the 10. Still a great catch, yeah. Oh, Dusty. Oh, I was hoping nobody would bring this one up, but it's the truth. Has a team ever had 3 100-yard rushers versus Auburn before today? I'm sure it's happened back in the day where they didn't have the forward pass. Yes, that's probably happened. Yeah, when you have one 100-yard rusher, that's a hard thing to win against. When you have 2, that's really tough. When you have 3, yeah. So we can make excuses about the pass interference, which did affect the game. We can make it, the whole onside kick, which changed the trajectory of the game again. But we allowed three 100-yard rushers. That's not going to win you a football game. Yeah, there were a lot of those things. Frustrating, but probably didn't amount to much other than just some other big things there. Kevlar, I would not say they took the day off. I would say that they were up against a very good offense that made some good adjustments, and there's a lot more at play there. They did show up at the very beginning of the game and some other points in the game as well, made some key stops to give Auburn the ball back to try to get it back. People forget that they helped us get back to a 4-point deficit. It's very close. Let's see. Well, and I'm being late. You can think that all you want, but he's the coach right now. And so I'm not trying to criticize, but that's not really helpful at this point, right? You can think that all you want. He's still the coach until they make the decision otherwise, which they'll make at any point now. Do I think we'll get the news this week? Care to make a prediction? Meaning Harsin being fired. Conventional wisdom would tell you yes. I can't make a prediction, honestly, because in my heart of hearts, my decisions, my predictions are always based off of what I want for Auburn. And what I want for Auburn is to not go through another coaching change, because as much as some of you are craving for that, are wanting to be able to post your snappy tweets and your Facebook posts and your comments here, especially after the fact, about how much you hate Harsin and he got what he deserved. That's not what's good for Auburn. What's good for Auburn is for this thing to get figured out. And today there were some things that looked like it's heading in the right direction. It is one game though. So my prediction is only going to be based on what's best for Auburn, and what's best for Auburn is for the decision we originally made to make a change from Coach Malzahn to Coach Harsin to get figured out. And if today's that day, I will be very happy about it. If it's not, we'll deal with that. I'll use my favorite phrase that my wife makes fun of me about. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So, but I'm just going to say yes, because that's probably what's going to happen. Tight end play was good. They were really effective in the run game, blocking too as well. I'm sure that's not the most given up in Auburn history. How many was it total? I shouldn't say I'm sure. I would guess not. All right. Here's what we're going to do. We're about 40 minutes into the show. We'll wrap it up here because I think it's almost to halftime at the Tennessee game, if not already there. And I know y'all want to go back and focus on that. Last minute comments, questions, derogatory rebuttals, get those in right now. A couple things to remind you of. Please do check out the links in the description for ways that you can help support our content here at E2C Network. Join the Booster Club over at patreon.com/E2C Network. Channel membership program here. $1 a month. You get those icons and those emojis to use during the chats. There's PayPal. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do to help financially support and keep the lights on what we do here. If you want to do that, but the easiest thing to do is subscribe, hit the like button, and just show up and leave a comment in the videos. So again, reiterate the schedule. Tomorrow night live, 9 p.m. Eastern time, 8 Central, a live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast with myself and Austin Scott. Don't miss it. I think we're going to have a pretty cool announcement, not necessarily about the show or anything, just things that we're going to talk about on that show. Maybe he may be too embarrassed to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it. I'm going to find a way to work it in. So don't miss that. Monday night grades, Wednesday night live call in, and then stay tuned throughout the week because you never know what this thing's going to get really, really, really crazy. You don't want to miss that. Are you going to go live if we reach that bridge? Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I mean by people need to be subscribed. If news breaks, and listen to this. I meant to share this to the Booster Club. There seems to be maybe some whispers of a shift towards a decision for an AD. That will be something that we probably go live for as well, and implications of that. I've been doing a little bit of investigating about who I think it's going to be. I'm not going to share that here at this time. I don't think you have to search pretty hard to figure out that, though. So that will be something we probably go live for as well. Keesaw would be the interim if Harsin gets fired. I don't think so. I think if he goes, I forget, I don't know who to credit it, but I think if Harsin goes, his guys go. Some of his guys go with him. You're probably looking at a situation where Zach Etheridge probably takes as the associate head coach, takes that job. Ole Miss attacked the portal and got the right pieces. It showed there an improved team on both sides. Auburn attacked the portal too and got some good pieces. There's just not enough pieces. And I would argue that Ole Miss was in a much better starting place than Auburn was. I will call with some positive news on Wednesday night. I could use some right now. Corey says, go live, preferably after work hours. So here's the nature of that, Corey. Unfortunately, I have to capitalize when it happens as soon as I can. So I will go live when I can. My goal is always to consider what you guys have in terms of work schedules, but we will do what we can when we can. If you want me to make a prediction, it has not come through as far as I've known that they've made a decision at this point. My guess is if it were going to be made this week, you would hear it made tomorrow or Monday morning, noon-ish, because he's got a press conference. He's got schedules to make for this week. The decision will be made at that point. So we'll probably know something pretty soon here. If he makes it through tomorrow and Monday, we're probably looking at finishing out the year with him. All right, final comments and questions here. Thank you. Appreciate the comments. We always love Auburn, and you guys are very kind for all of that stuff. So thank you so much for being here and supporting what we do and just hanging out with us and being part of our little family within the Auburn family, even during these tough times. Thank you for choosing us because you have a lot of choices out there on what you can consume in terms of Auburn content. And I appreciate so much that you guys choose to be here with me and the E2C network. So until we talk to you again, stay tuned and subscribe because you never know what's coming. War Eagle.